Hello, 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 and welcome to Women's Wisdom Wednesdays, where we come together every Wednesday to empower women just like you, foster connections, and thrive on our journey of surviving womanhood. I'm Kasey Conrad, whole life specialist and well-being coach. I got that backwards. Well-being specialist and whole life coach. I've said that like 1,000 times. And my lovely co-host who is out today with some personal business that she's taking care of. So you want to send a shout out to Bianca Cartin, who is a business and mindset coach. Today, we have a very special returning guest joining us, and her name is Marcell Vosges, and she has an incredible story to share. But before we introduce her, let's take a moment to address you, our wonderful audience. We want to remind you to visit our website at www.survivingwomanhood.com, where you can find valuable resources, connect with other women, and stay updated on our upcoming episodes, webinars, workshops, and retreats. We encourage you to actively participate by asking questions and adding comments. If you have a story to share, we would love to hear it. This is a safe space for us to learn and grow together. We'd also like to ask you to share your favorite Women's Wisdom Wednesday episodes. You never know who out there needs to hear these inspiring stories. Now, let's meet Marcell. Marcell is a skilled medical and cosmetic tattoo artist. She has worked for 15 years in this industry. Her expertise lies in the intricate art of creating realistic 3D areolas for cancer survivors. She does eyebrow tattooing, eyeliner tattooing, and she also does scar cover-ups. And I'm going to let her explain some of those things that she does. She's amazing, amazing at what she does and so generous with her talent, helping cancer survivors to have more of a full and mentally healthy, emotionally healthy life. So bless your heart for that, Marcell. That's amazing.
Thank you, Kasey. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's such good work that you do.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Marcell is herself a survivor. And that's what she's here to talk to us about. She's a survivor of an extremely abusive relationship. She's back here with us today to share her story in hopes that it will be an inspiration to other women out there who may be experiencing abuse and understand that there can be a way out for you, the same way Marcell found a way out for her and her daughter. So Marcell, we're privileged to have you with us today. And we're sure your journey and your story today is going to serve as an inspiration to so many women.
I really hope so.
Yes. So first, we'd like you to share some of the experience that you encountered during this journey and how you managed to escape. I'm going to say escape. I think that's appropriate. Yeah. And to move through those challenges and find your independent life that you're living today.
Okay, so where do I start? I will start with the fact that I was a very independent woman. I had a fantastic job. I was 25, 26 years old, had like I said, amazing job, and then I met this charismatic, amazing man that swept me off my feet. That all my friends used to say, oh my goodness, we want to meet a man like this. That he was just obsessed with me, and he just wanted me, and he wanted to get serious with me, he wanted to get married. And at the time, I was a little bit unsure because I was financially independent. I was not really looking for a marriage, and I was at the happiest of my life. But then comes the social pressure of, you're 28. This time I was 28. Maybe it's time to get married. Maybe it's the right thing to do. And all my friends were saying, "Oh my goodness, this is perfect. You should get married." So, what happened was, I was thinking, this is too good to be true. This is too good to be true. This guy is just amazing. Why wouldn't I? Like, why wouldn't I? And I remember I was living in Beirut at the time, and the one day I walked into the lobby, and there was my ex standing there, and he's like, "I'm here, and I want to propose." And he proposed to me, and he said, "I want to marry you." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is so romantic." So I was like, "Okay, why not?" So um, I said to him, "Let's give it a go. Let's get engaged, and we'll take it from there. We'll give it some time, and then we'll get married, and then, yeah, see how it goes." However, he had other plans.
Mm.
His plan was to get married straight away, and asked me to leave my job because I was living in Beirut. He was living in South Africa. I was back and forth from South Africa to Beirut, 1 month on, 1 month off. And he said to me, "Look, it's not going to work if you're living in Beirut. It's best that you come over and leave your job." And I actually at the time said to him that, this is my independence, and I don't want to leave my job. I'm very, very happy with my job. And it's it's let's give it some more time. And he was like, "No, no, no, I will love you and I want to marry you. I will take care of you." That was his words. "I will take care of you. You don't have to worry about a thing. Move back to South Africa, and we will we will get married, and you'll have a good life, and you don't have to worry about a thing." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, what do I do?" Actually, okay, you know what? Maybe this guy is right. I'm 28. It's time for me to maybe settle down. I can't always be traveling back and forth, South Africa, Beirut, South Africa, Beirut. Maybe it's time for me to settle down. And this guy is perfect. He's absolutely perfect. Nothing wrong with this guy. And he even made a huge thing about our marriage. He said to me, "Invite all your friends, whoever you want to invite, and I'll fly them all over to Mauritius, and we'll get married in Mauritius." And it was a big event. It was huge. It was even on TV in South Africa. It was on a huge television show in South Africa, this whole marriage. And I was caught up in this. I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And uh, exactly 2 weeks after the wedding, 2 weeks to the day, I just all of a sudden got a huge punch out of nowhere, for no reason. And I was absolutely shocked. I was like, "What is going on? Like, what just happened?" And from there, the punches and the kicks and the torture became a daily thing. And I honestly, I'm such a strong person. I used to like I am a strong person, and I always used to tell my friends, if somebody did that to me, I would, oh my goodness, I would walk away in a split second. However, now I'm living in South Africa. I don't have a job anymore. I don't have my independence anymore. I just moved all my stuff, and all my friends and every single person around me knows that this is like so perfect. And here I am, stuck with no job. And eventually, what happened with him is he made sure, typical scenario of an abusive relationship is, he completely isolated me. He made me completely dependent on him, number two. And he completely played with my mind constantly. I love you. You are the most amazing thing. But then would beat me up the night before. So first of all, the isolation for me was bad. To be isolated from all my friends and family, and the isolation became worse and worse and worse. And I was totally stuck. I felt totally stuck and ashamed, more ashamed than anything, because everybody had this pretty picture of us being so in love and this guy's obsessed. And also, the thing is, whenever anybody was around, he used to tell them how much he adores me and how lucky he was. But behind closed doors, as soon as I left, he would beat the hell out of me.
So I want to ask, what is it that would inspire him or motivate him to become so angry that he was then going to violence?
Okay. And Kasey, this is the funny story that it could be anything from me reading a magazine when he walks into the door and I don't jump up and greet him. Okay. That was one. The first time that I got really, really beaten up by him is a story that how it started was my sister came to visit me from Australia. She came to visit me. She was so excited about our wedding, and all we wanted to talk about was the wedding. And we were sitting here and we were chatting, and he bought the tickets for her to come and see me. And her and I were sitting on the couch. We were chatting away. And I remember looking over at him, thinking he looks strange. He looks a bit weird, and he's staring at me. But anyway, my sister and I were chatting. And that night when we went upstairs to the bedroom, he beat me so hard because he said that I was paying too much attention to my sister and I didn't even give him attention. So it could be from anything from if I didn't give him any attention, or if I was reading a magazine or a book when he walked in the door, or it could be any. Honest to God, it was so weird that it could be anything, anything. My attention had to be on him constantly, constantly. That even at night when I used to take a bath, I never had a bath on my own. He would sit on the edge of the bath and he would watch me. And he would be like that constantly, that I felt like, oh my gosh, you know what? I don't have a moment to myself. And if I did have a moment to myself, I would be punished for that. It was just a pure and utter horrible, jealous obsession, I think it was,
It
and
sounds
control,
like it. Yes, yes, a lot of control there. And
a lot
so,
of control.
and so what happened then? Where does your story
Okay,
go next?
so the story goes, I made excuses for maybe 3 or 4 times. I made excuses, okay? And I was like, no, come on, I can fix him. I can fix him. No problem. I can fix him. So we went to go and see a psychiatrist. We went for therapy, we went for everything, and I was always amazed at how good he was with this psychiatrist. He was so charming and he was so unbelievably good that every single time we walked out, they were telling me, this guy loves you so much. Like, don't provoke him. And I was like, but I'm not. But then I realized that he is such a Jekyll and Hyde that it was amazing because he had the ability. He has, and even to this day, he has the ability to charm anyone, and he is so good at that. He is so good at that, and also that at that time I felt that nobody believed me that this was happening because he was so charming and he was so loving, and he was completely a different person. So what happened after that? I think after the third or fourth time when I got slapped around here and there, It became full on torture. It became where I was locked in a dark cupboard for 2 days whilst I was pregnant with no food. And I remember it was a funny story. I remember I cleaned out the cupboard, I cleaned out the pantry the one day. And for some reason, Kasey, for some reason, I cleaned out the whole pantry, but I left some biscuits that were stale. And I don't understand why I left the biscuits, but I left biscuits in the pantry that I cleaned out. I left them in there and I don't know why. And I swear it was angels looking out for me or whatever, because I was locked up in that pantry for 2 days in the dark, pregnant, and I had biscuits, stale biscuits to eat. Okay. And at the time, I was 6 or 7 months pregnant. And all I kept thinking was, okay, just keep this baby alive, keep this baby alive. So I was locked up in a cupboard. I was thrown off the first floor of our house whilst 7 months pregnant. I had a gun in my mouth. I had a gun to my face. I've been, like I said, dragged behind a car uh, by my hair. I was actually tortured and burnt with cigarettes, lying on the floor, and I was not allowed to move. And I was burnt with cigarettes and burnt with hot water. Still got marks on my body from being burnt with boiling hot water, and for no reason. And the only thing that kept me sane was protect this baby, protect this baby, protect this baby. And at 7 months, I decided there is no way, there is no way I'm going to stay, even if I have nowhere to go, which I didn't. I didn't have anywhere to go. I just left my job. I lived in Beirut. I just came to South Africa. I had no money because now all of a sudden I don't have an income. All of a sudden I don't have my friends around me. All of a sudden I'm alone. So I had nowhere to go, absolutely nowhere to go. And I decided that I was never ever going to expose my child to anything like that because I've been through that myself. And I said, when this baby is born, she's going to be born in the most loving, loving home. And even if that means it is coming from just one mom, it's going to be the best, best. And actually, I want to cry when I say this. I promised myself that this baby or this child is not going to need a father because I'm going to be both for her and we're going to have the best fun ever. And I'm going to make her life so adventurous. And now, as you know, Luca is starting to be a doctor and she's the happiest child ever. And I never exposed her to that. And I'm so grateful that I never exposed her to any form of abuse or any neglect like that. And then, okay, hold on. Then the day I decided to walk away was very, very difficult because I had nowhere to go. However, I walked away and I decided that if I didn't leave South Africa, I was I was going to be killed, or my daughter, both of us were going to be killed by this man for sure. There was no way. So, against my lawyer's advice, and I had very good lawyers that I paid a lot of money for at the time, and I lost everything because of the lawyers that I had to pay. They all said to me that if you leave, you will be charged with kidnap. And the one day I woke up and I said, I don't care. I don't care. I'm taking my child out of South Africa, protecting me and her, and I'm leaving. And it was, I, I had nowhere to go but Bahrain because it was the only place that I knew. I used to work there before. And a great person gave me an opportunity to work there with a child. So I left South Africa with my child, and I got so much flack from the courts and everything, and I got phone calls and threats and everything else. It was just horrible, and I remember sitting looking outside my window, crying my eyes out, and my daughter was 2 years old, or a year and a half, crying my eyes out, thinking, I've got nowhere to go, nowhere to go. And then I got a phone call to say that he got arrested. He got arrested, and I was like, finally, finally, you know, finally I can breathe. But still, my nightmare wasn't over. So I at least had time to not worry about the court case because he got arrested, and I had time to raise my child on my own. And honestly, that was the best decision I ever made, even with nothing. I had nothing, nothing. But I made that decision that I said, there's no way. And I always believed if I didn't make that decision, I would have been dead, or both of us would have been dead by now. And you
I,
find strength.
I wanna circle back to something that you alluded to earlier, and because I have already have some information on this. You were determined that Luca was not going to grow up in an abusive environment. And why was that?
I grew up in a very abusive environment. So if I think back, I married my father exactly the same because that's all I knew. That's what I knew. And it's so funny that my mom and our paths are exactly the same. She had exactly the same happen to her. And I married the man that was my father, 100%. So it was the norm for me. It
Yeah.
it was it was absolutely normal for me to see abuse.
Why this is important, this is an important thing to share because this is common. Like as young girls and women and even young boys growing up, witnessing our moms or our dads, sometimes it's the opposite, right? Being abused in our homes, that is our conditioning, that's our programming. And
Yes,
for us, that's normal, right?
absolutely,
This is what relationship looks like. And
absolutely.
and it's very difficult to see anything else, especially when this is our role model, right? This is our model of relationship, our model of the world, how
Mm,
our parents move through the world is through
mm,
this abuse and this violence. And
mm.
then so as young women, when we're growing up, we are gravitating toward men who are similar to our fathers because it's what we know, right? So
And it's also your first love is your dad.
you
Your first,
betcha. And then the thing is for young boys, they can become the abuser, as so can some young women who see this, they can become the abuser in the relationship, right? So it can
yeah,
either be men or women taking on
yeah,
either role depending, right?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so I think it's very important for women out there and maybe young women whose childhood witnessed a lot of abuse in their home to be aware of that when they are dating and when they are forming relationships, to be aware that there are red flags out there.
The
True?
one thing that the one thing that I can say, the one thing that I can say is that I know there's a lot happening out there with young relationships right now. But the one thing I can say, if a man ever lifts his hand or even some form of aggression, a push or a shove, because they always pretend it's just a push or a shove. The minute that you get hit or shoved really hard, whatever, it's never going to change. It's going to get progressively worse. It it should not happen. It should never happen. A man should never lift his hand to a woman, and it doesn't matter what. If that ever happens to you, if that ever happens to you, know that this is the beginning of the end. It's going to get worse. And it could eventually, if you decide to have a family, go on to your kids. And if you want that, good for you. But I'm just telling you now. And also, I always say to all my friends, if a man lifts his hand, and now I am like that, if a man lifts his hand or punches or any form of abuse, even mental abuse, walk away immediately. Walk away immediately, because it's never ever going to change, because they always make you feel, and as females, as we are, we always feel we want to fix people. We want to fix them. We can fix them. And that was me. I'll fix him. I'll. You can't. You can't
Right.
fix it. And it's time to walk away.
Yes, that's a wonderful point. And I think it's very important for those women out there who are experiencing anything similar, that it doesn't need to go to the extent of torture before you leave. You have support systems out there, and we will add some resources to the comments below on this video to let you know that there are places you can go. There are people who can support you. And if you are listening out there now and you would like to ask any questions or share your story, maybe you were in a similar situation and you got out, then share that story with us in the comments or send us a DM and we can share it if you'd like it to be anonymous, because this is such an important issue and it doesn't get enough attention.
No.
There are so many battered women out there. And when this is happening, we are raising children who are going to just perpetuate this situation. And we would like to do everything that we can to stop it before it's already an epidemic. And I'm going to
Yeah.
share just a little story. My granddaughter was telling me about a fight that happened at her high school the other day. And it was two young women, about 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. And they were, saying nasty things to one another. But then at one point, one of them said to the other, "This is why your boyfriend beats on you." And that little girl went ballistic at hearing this because it's true. And then they got into a knockdown drag out. And I was talking to my granddaughter about this. I said, a high school boyfriend is abusing her. And my granddaughter shared with me that it happens often, that there are several relationships within, and it's a small school that they're in, just a few
Yeah.
hundred
Yeah.
kids, that there are these things happening within the teenage realm, right?
Mm.
So I'm actually reaching
Wow.
out to the counselor at the school to go and to see if I can go and do a talk with all the girls and boys in the school about this issue, because it's a huge issue, and it's happening, now from such young ages. And so this is one of the reasons also why your story is so important, because this is a story that's very difficult for people to talk about, and because
Yeah.
people are embarrassed, or
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, God forbid, women I've spoken to who want to share their story, but they're so afraid that their ex, who they have moved away from, or that they're still with, if it's not an ex, somebody they're still with, they can't say it, or they are going to suffer even more by sharing their stories. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much for you to come
But
out.
listen, thank you. The one thing that I want to say to everybody out there, or the girls, or like young teenagers, whatever, only a guy that abuses and is abusive like that is extremely um not confident. And the reason why they're doing it is because they have insecurities. It's not because of you. If somebody does that, the minute they lift their hand and they smack you, whatever, it is a major insecurity from their side, not anything to do with you. And do you want to be with somebody that's so insecure? No, you don't. And thank goodness my kids both know that no man ever, 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 even one finger, if he lifts his finger, you're done. You walk away.
Yes,
It's done.
great advice. So
Yeah.
now I want to ask you if you had some advice or suggestions to share with women who are going through something similar, even if sometimes, like you were saying earlier, we make excuses, right? So
Mm,
maybe sometimes we're not really sure someone is being abusive, right? Like we tell
yeah.
ourselves, oh,
Yeah.
maybe, like you said, he was drinking a little bit, maybe he was a little bit
Yeah.
drunk, and that's not really him. But
Yeah.
but as you said, once someone shows you who they are, believe them,
Believe them.
right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what kind of suggestions might you make for someone who is in a situation like that and who would like to get out but feels totally stuck, like, and
Okay.
totally alone?
Okay. You will not believe the power that you have within you. Okay. Once you leave, number one. Okay. And you will not believe all the miracles that will happen in your life, little miracles, little things that's going to happen to you to help you through the situation. Even when you feel stuck and you feel like you've got nowhere to go, I can guarantee you, I can guarantee you there's always somebody there that's going to help you, even if you feel I had nobody, I had no money, I had nothing. And somehow it just worked out. So even if you have not a cent to your name, not a car, not a salary, nothing, you will not believe how much strength you have as a woman and what happens to you once you've make the decision, how things will turn out for the better for you. And you just have to believe. Make that decision, walk away, even with nothing. I always say it's blind faith. It's completely blind faith. You're just jumping off the cliff, not knowing. But it's it's unbelievable how many people will be around there to support you, even if you think you don't have many people. It's unbelievable how many miracles God or the universe will give you without you even knowing, that will protect you and your child, or just you in that case. Have blind faith. Have blind faith and say, you know what? I've got this. I've got this. And no man is ever going to put me down. And respect yourself. Respect yourself. You know, respect yourself and just walk away. Walk away, even with zero money, even with nothing, no clothes, no nothing. Walk away. You will see all the gifts that you're going to get and all the things and the miracles that's going to happen to you. But you have to get out. It's a lesson.
Yep. And again, I want to say we're going to add some resources for hotline numbers and shelters. I know there's one in the UAE, and definitely there's one here, and there are numbers in the US
Yeah.
and shelters and people out there who want to support
Would
you. And I
and
do understand that sometimes it's really difficult to even speak to your family about this because you're embarrassed or humiliating
yes, yes,
or humiliated, or you're afraid they're not going to believe you.
yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
But
But
keep telling your story, right, Marcell? Keep telling your story. Someone is going to believe you and you will find
and
help.
and the last thing that I want to say, when you hit rock bottom for me was living in a car with a year and a half old baby, thinking my life is over. And all of a sudden, the world opened up to me. I met so many people that wanted to help. Eventually, I opened up my business from living in a car with a baby and rock bottom and thinking this is the worst thing, I'll never come right. I eventually started again, slowly but surely, by meeting the right people, people supporting me, and opening up my own business, setting up my own business. And you just have to have blind faith, have blind faith that everything is going to be okay, everything's going to be fine, but get out, don't stay. It's not worth it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marcell. Thank you for being
Thank
brave and
you.
telling your story and sharing it with all of the people out there who are listening. I think this is a very important story for men and as well as women to hear. So I just want to take a moment and say, what are the key takeaways, the two key takeaways that you want to leave with any women out there who are going through something similar? The most important
Um,
things.
the most important thing is trust your gut. I've got more than two things. Trust your gut, believe in yourself, and respect yourself. Okay. And know what you deserve. Okay. And never, ever, ever um take less than that. Know what you deserve. Oh my gosh, there's so many things that I want to take away from this. There's so many things. And I see this all the time. It's just, yeah, know your worth, trust yourself, trust your gut, and believe in yourself. That's it, you know. I mean,
Wonderful. Wonderful. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
exactly, this is the thing is when they show you, stop being, we are so ridiculous, we are so romantic, and we're like, oh my God, no, no. Just believe them. What they show you, believe them. And if they do something to you once, don't think they're going to change. It's it's never going to change. And also start knowing what one thing I know is that women are much stronger than men mentally, much stronger than men. And women don't realize how strong and how powerful they really are. And if you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything, anything. But believe in
Fabulous.
yourself.
Thank you. That's wonderful. So let's
Thank
take a
you.
moment to appreciate you, Marcell, for sharing your
Thank you.
harrowing and inspiring journey with us. Your
Thank
strength and
you.
resilience are truly remarkable. And
Thanks,
we invite
Kasey.
all of you, you are so welcome, thank you, all of you, our viewers, to share their own stories, suggest future guests or topics, and actively engage with the Surviving Womanhood community. This story today truly, truly punctuates the surviving womanhood, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does. Thank you
Please
so much
remember,
for having me.
thank you. Please remember to mark your calendars and join us for our next Women's Wisdom Wednesdays next Wednesday, when we'll have the privilege of hosting a remarkable guest, and she'll be sharing another inspiring story. Marcell's journey is a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the female human spirit, and the power of her character. So before we wrap up, just one more time, let's all say thank you to Marcell for joining us today and inspiring us with her story.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you've been touched by Marcell's story or you have your own experience to share, again, please leave a comment below. We value your voice and want to create a community where we can learn and grow together. And just to remind you, we're going to be putting some resources in the comments below once we've finished and wrapped up. We will put in some resources from the UK, from the UAE, and from the US for those women out there who can use them. And keep in mind to catch up on any of our Women's Wisdom Wednesday episodes, you can visit our website at www.survivingwomanhood.com and click on podcasts. Together, let's face every challenge, rise above adversity, and support one another on our journey of surviving womanhood. See you next time. Thank you, Marcell. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.